welcome. This is our special edition, and in this edition, we are going to discuss the role of youth in strengthening Pan Africanism. And Pan Africanism is a concept that has established the African Union and is still strengthening the continent's different platforms, including Agenda 2063 and African Continental Free Trade Area, among the others. And today I'm joining Mr. Patrick Asford Boadu from Ghana. And thank you for joining me, Mr. Boadu.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Yeah, thank you very much too. And let us start with your assessment about the Pan-Africanism and the role of youth in the continent.
Well, thank you very much. And first and foremost, let me thank you for, inviting me on this very important show that is going to watch all over Africa and outside Africa as well. I must say that good afternoon here in Ghana to all our viewers. And I know it's getting to evening in Ethiopia. And so we appreciate our viewers and our listeners as well. First and foremost, we're looking at Pan-Africanism. It is an ideology that was enacted or that were birthed or was birthed by our forefathers or our leaders. You can talk about Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. When you go to other countries, you can talk about Julius Nyerere. You can talk to, or you can speak about Stephen Biko. You can also talk about Nelson Mandela, then also Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. And so all these leaders are actually realize the need for us to have an African identity and African ideology. And so they have to fight very, very well to establish Pan-Africanism. And Pan-Africanism, like I said earlier, it is an identity that is encapsulated in culture, heritage, and discipline and tradition as well. And so it is a fine idea. It is a fantastic idea. It is a very creative ideology that every African and every African living in a diaspora to actually cultivate the spirit of Pan-Africanism. So if you ask me, and if I want to put it in a very nice and a simple way, I must say that Pan-Africanism being a doctrine in itself or an ideology, it is something that every African by birth or by inheritance or by spirit should be able to actually embrace the ideas of Pan-Africanism and move Pan-Africanism forward to its limit or its stage as it stands now. Because if you look at other countries or other continents like Europe and America, they also have an ideology that they respect so much. And so for Africa, this is our inheritance. This is what Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah left with us. This is what Emperor Haile Selassie left with us. This is what Nelson Mandela left with us. This is what Buko also left with us. And so we have to cherish Pan-Africanism and we have to move forward with Pan-Africanism, and so that that identity and ideology and the perception about Africa that we have to project is concretely, projected and well positioned on the world map.
To what extent do you think, Mr. Boadu, young people actively shaping the Pan-African, agenda across the continent?
For me, I think that we've not been able to inculcate the spirit of Pan-Africanism in the youth. And so they don't know whether they should go left or right, or they should go back or still move forward. There was a time that one of our leaders in Ghana, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, says that Ghana is not looking left nor right. Ghana is looking forward. So you have to have a direction. But I think that currently, when you look at the African youth, it seems we don't have direction, or they don't have direction, and it is because we were not able to leave that particular legacy that when they come or when they want to inherit it, they will know that this is a clear-cut inheritance that they have to, embrace. And so they are actually even confused with what Pan-African, because Pan-African as it stands now is like an ideology that is hanging. It's not our leaders try something and has come to stay. We are believing in the Pan-Africanism, but I think it should get to its destination. The destination is that Africa should wear what Africa produces. Africa should eat what African eats. Africa should behave how Africans must behave, and everything African must be seen African. But this is not the case right now because, for example, when it comes to Ghana, we have two top football clubs in Ghana. That is Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And what I was trying to say is that there should be a clear-cut definition or direction for Pan-Africanism. And so I was giving you a scenario or an example of what is happening in Ghana, for example, with the two top clubs in Ghana, Accra House of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And when it comes to the youth, they don't watch when Kumasi Asante Kotoko is playing Accra House of Oak. It's just like El Clasico in Spain, where you see Barcelona playing against Real Madrid. It is like when you go to EPL, you have Manchester playing Liverpool or Arsenal playing Chelsea. But you realize that a lot of our youth believe in the foreign material. They don't actually believe in what it is just because of how we have positioned our things, how we have positioned the ideology and how we want the ideology to go. For example, when it comes to our clothes, just recently, our president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, was in Zimbabwe, and what he was wearing is one of the top-notch, dress in Ghana. But because we have not projected that one, they didn't know. So they were also assuming that it is female dress, but it is one of the high traditional dresses that when you go to the northern sector or the northern part of Ghana, chiefs actually wear. That is the smog or the fugu. And so I believe that we've not been able to position the youth. We've not been able to inculcate, we've not been able to advise or educate the youth enough when it comes to the things of Pan-Africanism. And so they are not actually inclined with the activities and the ideologies of Pan-Africanism. And that is the reason why it is important around this time or at this moment for us to shape the minds of the youth so that we can carry them, even though it is late, it is better late than never. And so it is time for us to, as it were, look at all these things and how we can also bring the youth on board so that they will buy all into the things of Pan-Africanism and so that we do away with the foreign or the European and American style of living and style of eating and style of dressing and what have you, so that we do everything Africa so that whatever that we have must stay in Africa, just like things that we can do together among the African countries.
Yeah, and here in my country, the youth are highly encouraged. And recently, one of the president of the regional estate, talked to the youth, millions of youth, and youth always, be encouraged. We believe that way. And how should this, be actively, engaged in Africa, in the continent, as it is one of the Agenda 2063, framework?
Yes, I heard you very well. You're talking about how we can encourage the youth so that they can also follow issues with Pan-Africanism. And it is very, very important. I believe once in a while, those days, during the days of one of our late presidents, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, we used to have a program annually called Panafest. So that is the Pan-African Festival. And so you have people coming all the way. You have a week-long program that you educate the youth, especially on issues of Pan-Africanism, how they should understand Pan-Africanism, how they should wear Pan-Africanism, how they should follow Pan-Africanism, how they should see the movement. But the point is now, because of change of government, that system is no more. But I believe that the current government and some agencies are trying to bring it back. And so that is the reason why, as part of the research agenda, by Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, we have the Black Experience. The Black Experience, actually, it is an agency under the Ministry of Tourism that look at all this, matters. And so I believe that there should be a concrete, direction, a concrete idea or program lineup that if it is not quarterly or every 6 months or yearly, to educate the youth, because the youth must come into terms with who they are as a black person, or as an African, your origin and your culture, your tradition, everything, all of these things you should understand, so that you will be able to know that this is your culture, this is your tradition, this is how, as an African, you live, you behave, this is how you channel your grievances, or this is how you want technically or infrastructure wise. This is some of the things that you're supposed to do actually, so that you can move yourself as a person forward, and you can also move your region and your country also forward. So I believe that one of the ways by which we can carry the youth to believe and understand issues and matters of Pan-Africanism is about engaging them, frequently, and let them understand. Most of the things that our leaders actually left with us, we are not even teaching in our various classrooms. Some of the curriculums have been taken out. We don't teach about in-depth history about Osadefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. When you go to other places, they don't talk about their leaders anymore, and their mindset is only on your mobile phone, what TikTok is telling you, or what TikTok is doing, what Instagram is doing, what X is doing, and what have you. And so I believe that if you embark on a lot of sensitization programs and education programs on Pan-Africanism, it is going to bring the youth back on track, so that they will know that Pan-Africanism is all about our tradition, our culture, our way we live, about the environment, the way we do things. And so I believe that it is very important that continuously, or frequently, we should be engaging the youth in doing, or engaging them in learning things of Pan-Africanism.
The role of media is very important in shaping the narrative of the continent. And recently, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopian Prime Minister, during the 35th AU Summit, the 35th Ordinary Summit of the African Head of States, the Prime Minister initiated having Pan-African media, and now Pan-African media is there in Ethiopia. He implemented the vision into action. And what do you say? Have you heard about this?
Well, I think that I missed the 35th. Did you say 35th section? If it is the 35th section that I missed that, I was there at the 38th section, and some of my colleagues were there on the 39th section just recently. And so, but then I believe that it is in the right direction, because if we have Pan-African media, that everything that we want to learn about Pan-Africanism, or we have to have cut across the African continent, we should have a library for everywhere that you go, that you learn about Pan-Africanism. But I think that when you come to my country, Ghana, we have a place like the Du Bois Center that you learn Pan-Africanism. When you go to George Padmore Library, you have a lot of books, and you have a lot of articles that you can read about Pan-Africanism. And recently, or not long ago, there is another Pan-African activist. His name is Kwesi Pratt, Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. has a TV station that talks about Pan-Africanism. And so the TV station, the name of the TV station is Pan-African TV. And so I believe that with the mindset and with that directive by the president or the prime minister of Ethiopia, it is in the right direction, so that at least, because most of the time when you go to our media places, now the media landscape has become more of a commercial business or a commercial activity. So everybody sets up a media house and they want to make profit, they want to make business, they want to get money out of what is that. And so some of the editorial policies, some of the programs that they air are not actually inclined with issues or things of Pan-Africanism. And I am strongly in belief, and I stand with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, that if we should have, for example, the AU, at the AU level, headquarters, if you have a TV station, because the AU headquarters is situated in Ethiopia, I believe that if you should have a very big studio that things about Pan-Africanism, everybody, anytime you want to learn about Pan-Africanism and it's not in your country, you just have to travel to Ethiopia or any other African country where they have that media house, so that you go and learn everything that they will be speaking or will be talking, they will be discussing, they will be analyzing to be based on Pan-Africanism. And so I agree with the president of the prime minister of Ethiopia that there should be a media landscape that will actually carry one of the biggest and one of the fantastic issues that has to do with Pan-Africanism along, so that everybody, the youth, the next generation will come and learn so many things about Pan-Africanism. So I agree with him, and I believe that if we are able to establish this across the African continent, the ideology and the ideas of Pan-Africanism will run as way that of other ideologies, so that they will know the potential that the African continent has.
Thank you. Yeah, that is Pulse of Africa. It is broadcasting from the capital, and it will strengthen itself in the future. Yeah, but it was initiated by the Prime Minister just some 3 or 4 years ago. Thank you very much for that also. And the other one is what limits, strengthening the Pan-Africanism in the continent. How should it be improved?
So the limitations are many. The limitations are many in terms of, for example, education. Because you see, I don't really know in the Bible where this quotation is, but I know that there is a statement or there's a quotation in the Bible that says that teach a child the way he should go, so that when he goes, he will not depart from it. Meaning that education is very, very, very important. But it is because we are not, educating our youth. There's no clear-cut, program. There's no clear-cut, activity. Sometimes you implement the activities or you formulate the activities, the implementation becomes very problematic, and so it is not, implemented. And this is one of the limitations. And also we have left the youth to do their own things. We are not giving them guidelines. We are not giving, we are not mentoring them. Nobody is mentoring anybody. It's just like we are leaving them to do their own things. And when you do that, it is going to bring chaos and confusion, because the youth that you are bringing will not know the way that they should go. And so I believe that the limitations are very, numerous. And when you do that, for example, that is where you give the youth the choice to do their own thing. And so, for example, respecting our elders is one of the things that we do in our traditional areas. But then we are realizing that that level of norm or that fiber is diminishing, is coming down, because we are not inculcating it into the youth anymore. We are not telling them that this is what you're supposed to do and that is right, so that, you will be seen as a responsible person in the society or in the community or in your traditional area. And so the limitation, one of them that I would say, is because we are not giving them the direction in the area of education. When you educate them and you sensitize them and you tell them that this is what our forefathers left with us, this is what we have learned, and it is working for us, it is making us compete at a global level, they will also understand it and pick it up from there, and they will run with it. But if you leave them like that, that is where they will go to the European culture and learn the things of the Europe, which will not sync with that of your culture or that of African way of living. And so I believe that one of the things that is becoming a limitation with them is that they don't have somebody that they will mentor, because nobody is bringing them along. We are not showing things of Pan-Africanism. If you want to mention 5, for example, leaders of Pan-Africanism, if I ask any youth outside, it is going to be very difficult for the person. Even when you come to Ghana and you are asking the Gen Z to tell you a bit about Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Haile Selassie, it is going to be a challenge for the person, because the person thinks that, let's go and learn about other people from other countries rather than, learning from here. It is because we are not encouraging them, like you rightly said, from the very beginning. So one of the things that we have to do is that we have to be educating the youth. And because we are not educating them, it is becoming a limitation for us. And the fact that we are also leaving them to do their own thing. And so they'll go and pick the negative things that you think it is not Pan-Africanism, and they'll be implementing it or they'll be experiencing it, and that is going to affect the norms, the ideas, and the vision of Pan-Africanism. And so I think education is one of the limitations. We are not educating the youth to understand Pan-Africanism.
How use in cooperation and integration make integration among African youth, because at the end of the day, Agenda 2063 aspires is at the interconnection of the continent, all African countries.
I believe that a lot of the African youth have potential. They have talent, and they believe in what they can also do, personally or individually, to achieve whatever they want to achieve for themselves and whatever they can also achieve for their various countries in Africa. But just that the leaders are not supporting them, so they don't have the support. They don't know, for example, when you want to start a business, when you want to start education, when you want to do something on your own, either vocational or technical, where you're supposed to go. And also they don't have any coffers that they have to go. Just that sometimes they do, but it is so political in nature that accessing those policies or programs becomes very difficult. And so I believe that, like with what we call it, with the WEMA is doing, Africa, Ghana has actually identified him, and we have a lot of guys, we have a lot of youth in Ghana, in South Africa, in Ethiopia, in Tanzania, other countries in Africa that also are talented, and they can do even extremely well than what our friend is doing now. But then they haven't been spotted. Nobody has seen them, and perhaps they also don't have the resources also to come out. They don't have that money to go and buy this smartphone so that they'll be doing what you are doing. You are also doing very well. I think the last time we met somewhere last year, February, when we met in Ethiopia, that is the 38th session of the AU. You were also doing very well with your team, but I believe that you also need a support. If you get the support from either government or any other institute or corporate world, they can also be supporting you. You can also be doing fantastically well for your country. And so I believe that the issue has to do with the fact that there is no well-planned package or a program for the youth, or where they can also go so that they can also tap from the resources and also to be doing what they are doing. And so that is the reason why I am of the view that if we are able to identify the youth, if we are able to identify their talents, if we are able to identify what they are capable of doing, then we will also bring them on board and shape that particular idea or shape that particular vision that a person has, especially with a gentleman from Ghana that is doing very well. So most of the things that he does is like what he wants to research on, the history, but he has to be moving and also be telling us about some of the things that the forefathers who were fighting for Pan-Africanism or who actually fought for Pan-Africanism has actually been able to achieve, so that it will encourage the youth who are coming also to be living with that particular example.
Exactly. And finally, what is your outlook on the future of Pan-Africanism driven by the youth?
So, like we have already established in our conversation, the role of the youth in Pan-Africanism is very, very important, because our leaders, majority of them very soon, because of age, they will be facing off, or they will be fizzling out, because as for age and certain things that we have to expect, like those who actually started Pan-Africanism, they are no more alive. And so it is believed that once you were born, or you've been born, there is a day that you will die. And when you die, you're supposed to leave legacy, that your generation will also come and continue with whatever you have left behind. And so this is what we are saying, that as Pan-Africanism, and we want Pan-Africanism to thrive, or to strive to go forward, to go through the length and breadth of the world, everywhere in the world. What we have to do now is bring the youth together. Let's educate the youth, because then it means that in the next 5, 10 years, if we are not doing this, then Pan-Africanism will die. Because a lot of things that our leaders have actually enacted, that we have not been able to follow it up or to lead again. And because of that, we are not seeing the impact of those ideologies and policies now. And so I believe that for us to have Pan-Africanism going forward with the movement, with educating more on perhaps bringing more of the youth into understanding of Pan-Africanism. It is very, very important for us to, bring them closer so that we inculcate in them the spirit and the ideology of Pan-Africanism. And with that one, even when they are no more, we have a lot of people who will also come out to play the role of Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Stephen Biko, Emperor Haile Selassie, Mandela, and the rest. And so I believe that, moving forward, this is what we're supposed to do. Every African leaders, when we go to the AU summit, we should also look at how those should also be. I don't really know. You are in Ethiopia, and most of the time, I believe every now and then there will be programs at the AU headquarters. I don't really know if there is a conference for that matter where we have African youth leaders coming under one particular umbrella to discuss things that actually affect them, because we're talking about trade among African countries. We're talking about perhaps sports and entertainment activities. We're talking about trade. And we don't see, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs both here in Ghana, South Africa, Ethiopia, Tanzania, everywhere in Africa. We have young, talented people who want to go into business, who are sports analysts, who are pundits, who want to do something tangible for themselves and also for their country. But if we are able to create, because after now we have AFTA looks about, bilateral trade between countries. And so it is going to open the door for young entrepreneurs as well, so that we come together at the AU summit or AU program that is actually geared or designed for the youth. And I believe that if we're able to do this one frequently, it is going to bring all of us together. Just like there was a particular program that I met you. Now we are friends, and you can call me today. Next time, maybe I can also invite you to Ghana so that we can have a program like this, or I can come to Ethiopia, then we can also continue with the program that we planned some time ago. And so if we're able to have this among ourselves, Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, Tanzania, everywhere, we can push the youth together. And that is the only way that we're going to have the youth understand the power and the essence of Pan-Africanism, so that Pan-Africanism, the fire and the spirit will not die.
And what practically steps do you think, be taken to better include youth voices in decision-making process in the continent?
Just like I rightly said, for example, those days we used to have youth parliamentarians. They are not selected by election to represent their various constituencies. When it comes to Ghana, we have constituencies. So the representatives in parliament, you have other provinces. I don't know whether in your case you call it provinces. In South Africa, they call it provinces. In Nigeria, they call it governor. So the governor of Igbo State or something. Yeah. So in Ghana, it is constituency. So if we are able to have that for the leaders, so for example, the parliamentarians, we should also have a similar thing for the youth who are coming. So perhaps if in Ghana we have 275 representatives in the House of Law, that is in Parliament. And so if you're also going to have a similar thing for selected youth who will also be representing their various, so you can just mention it in design. You can say that they are representing my constituency, for example, is Wejagbawi or Bantama or Udododiodio or something. So you're going to have a team of people, 275, so that they will be replicating what is happening in Parliament. And so for that matter, we realize that they will also be learning and they'll be educating the youth about everything. We have Pan-African Parliament, right? Yes, we have Pan-African Parliament. And so if you have Pan-African Parliament, that has to do with representatives from the various African countries. Why not, start somewhere also so that, but they will also be learning from their predecessors, from those who are there currently, so that by the time this parliament will fizzle out or their time will come to an end, you will also have people or the youth who are well trained to understand the laws, the clauses in our various, constitutions, so that it wouldn't be difficult for us to govern. Because if you leave the youth and you are not inculcating anything to them, you are not giving them direction, you are not giving them vision, you are not telling them how they should go. That is the reason why, I mean, you give them the opportunity, or one of the opportunity why you give them that leeway so that they can also do, or they will be doing their own thing. So I believe that if you want to have a clear point, understanding, and a sustainable Pan-Africanism that is going to last for a very long time, these are some of the things that you have to, pragmatic measures that you have to put in place. You have to educate them. You have to create the platform for the youth so that they will also be seen as future leaders. We always say that the youth are future leaders, but as a matter of fact, the future is today. And so if you want them to be the future leaders, you train them today. And so this is what, in a nutshell, I can say about, I mean, pragmatic measures that you can use to sustain Pan-Africanism.
Thank you very much. And finally, if you have any message to my audience, you are welcome, sir.
Yes, I want to say that the last time I came to Ethiopia is, I mean, so fantastic. The environment is so serene, and we really enjoyed ourselves. I have the belief that I don't know when our president will be visiting Ethiopia again, but if I had the opportunity to visit any other country, I think I would choose Ethiopia. The last time we went to Tanzania, Tanzania is also great, but then if you want to do a comparison of where I want to visit again, I always say that I want to come to Ethiopia. And so I want to say, especially to the youth of Ethiopia, that they should be law-abiding citizens. They should actually hold democracy very well, because that is the only way to go. Democracy gives us the opportunity to share ideas, to communicate ideas, and to explain what exactly we wish to be doing. And so as Africans living in an African land, what I want to say is that let us embrace Pan-Africanism, but then we shouldn't forget about the ideology that we are all chanting, that is the Pan-Africanism, so that we bring Pan-Africanism, or we love Africa and African of, I mean, foreign descent, or wherever the African you are, or in the diaspora, all of us to come together to, I mean, move Pan-Africanism forward.
You mean you have visited Ethiopia recently, or?
No, Tanzania.
Have you visited Ethiopia so far?
So that was the last time that we came there for the 38th AU summit.
Oh, yeah. Now, recently, different development is there, and I'm sure you will come and visit it.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Mr. Patrick Asford Boadu, thank you very much. Yeah, for your insight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for your insight and for your time as well. We really appreciate, and we will come back to you whenever we have a concern with you. Thank you. We appreciate.
I also want to say thank you also for giving me the opportunity as one of the leaders in my country and also in my constituency. I always want to do this with you so that I can also have the opportunity to become that Pan-Africanist that I want to be.
So that's all about our discussion for this edition, and I'm sure you have got some very important points from this discussion. And till next edition, goodbye.